Imagine the power goes out tonight. The lights disappear, your Wi-Fi dies, your phone battery is almost empty, and suddenly everything that normally feels invisible becomes incredibly important. Now imagine that. Above your head, there's a device that's been collecting energy every second of every day for decades. Not a solar panel, not a wind turbine, just an old TV antenna. Here's the question almost nobody asks. If it's already collecting energy, why are we letting it go to waste? Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how an ordinary rooftop television antenna can become an energy harvesting device. We'll uncover the forgotten science behind it, why the basic principle dates back more than a century, why researchers, from Nikola Tesla to modern universities, have spent decades studying it, and how you can build the core circuit yourself using inexpensive electronic components. More importantly, you'll understand whether that abandoned antenna on your roof could become a part of an emergency backup system when the power grid isn't there to help you. Because here's where it gets interesting. This isn't a new invention. The surprising part is that most people already own half of the system without realizing it. Think about the last time you looked at a rooftop TV antenna. Most people see scrap metal, something left over from another era. But that's only because we've forgotten what an antenna actually does. It doesn't create radio waves. It doesn't consume them. It captures them. Every second of every day, radio stations, television transmitters, emergency communication systems, and cellular towers fill the air around you with electromagnetic energy. You can't see it. You can't hear it. But your antenna can. That's exactly what it was designed to do. Long before streaming services existed, millions of homes depended on these antennas to receive television broadcasts. Tiny electrical currents traveled down a coaxial cable into the television, where they were transformed into moving pictures and sound. The important part is this. Before a television could display anything, the antenna had already converted invisible electromagnetic waves into electrical signals. That has always been its job. And that raises an obvious question. If an antenna already turns radio waves into electricity, what happens if you disconnect the television and connect something else instead? The idea itself isn't new. In fact, it's older than commercial aviation. More than 100 years ago, engineers were already experimenting with ways of collecting energy from electromagnetic waves. Nikola Tesla explored wireless energy transmission. Later, scientists developed specialized receiving antennas capable of converting radio frequency energy into usable electrical current. Today, those devices are known as rectennas, short for rectifying antennas. And here's the remarkable part. The underlying physics hasn't changed. The air around your home is still filled with electromagnetic energy. Modern communication networks have only made that environment richer, which raises another question. If the science has existed for generations, why has almost nobody heard about using it at home? That's where the story becomes far more interesting. To understand why this idea never completely disappeared, we need to go back more than a century. In 1899, Nikola Tesla was conducting experiments in Colorado Springs, trying to transmit electrical energy without wires. His goal wasn't to power a single house, it was to explore whether energy itself could travel through space. The technology he envisioned was far more ambitious than anything we're talking about today. But one idea survived. Electromagnetic waves can carry energy, and under the right conditions, that energy can be captured. Decades later, engineers stopped treating the concept as theory. In 1964, Raytheon engineer William C. Brown successfully flew a small helicopter powered entirely by a microwave beam aimed at a rectenna mounted beneath the aircraft. No fuel, no batteries, just transmitted energy converted back into electricity. The experiment worked. Later, NASA funded extensive research into rectennas as part of its Space Solar Power program. The idea was surprisingly elegant. Instead of building power plants on Earth, enormous solar arrays would orbit in space, collect sunlight around the clock, and beam the energy back to Earth using microwaves. On the ground, vast rectenna fields would convert those microwaves back into electricity. The project was eventually abandoned, not because the physics failed, but because the economics of launching such massive structures into orbit were overwhelming. The science, however, never disappeared, and even today, universities continue exploring the same principle. In 2019, researchers at Georgia Tech demonstrated a flexible rectenna capable of converting Wi-Fi signals into usable DC voltage. Different frequencies, smaller hardware, exactly the same fundamental idea, which means something important. Harvesting energy from radio waves isn't science fiction. It's established electrical engineering, so why have you almost never heard about it? Now here's where the story takes an interesting turn. Walk into any home improvement store, and you'll find entire aisles dedicated to solar panels, batteries, inverters, and backup power systems. Search for ways to harvest ambient radio frequency energy, and you'll find almost nothing. Not because the principle doesn't work, but because it doesn't fit the way our energy infrastructure was designed. Government incentives focus on technologies that generate large amounts of electricity. Building codes are written around conventional electrical systems. Manufacturers invest in products that can be standardized, certified, and installed at scale. A simple rectenna circuit doesn't naturally fit into any of those categories. That doesn't make it forbidden, it simply makes it invisible. And that's often the most effective way for an idea to disappear, not because anyone is hiding it, but because nobody has much reason to talk about it anymore. Which brings us to the obvious question. If the science is well understood, how difficult is it to build one yourself? As it turns out, it's much simpler than most people imagine. The surprising part is that the circuit itself is remarkably simple. At its heart is something called a voltage doubler. It uses just a handful of inexpensive components: 2 germanium diodes, 2 capacitors, a small circuit board, and the coaxial cable that's already connected to your rooftop antenna. Here's what happens. The antenna captures high-frequency electromagnetic waves. The diodes act like one-way valves, converting that alternating signal into direct current. The capacitors smooth and store the charge. It's a process called rectification. That's where the name rectenna comes from, a rectifying antenna. If you've ever watched rainwater flow from a roof into a barrel, you've already seen the same principle. The roof doesn't create the rain, it simply collects it. The gutter directs it. The barrel stores it. A rectenna works in much the same way. It doesn't create energy, it harvests energy that was already passing through your property. Building one isn't particularly difficult if you're comfortable with basic soldering. The components cost roughly $15. Most hobbyists finish the project in a single afternoon. But before you rush to order the parts, there's one thing you need to know. This is where many videos become misleading. So let's be completely honest. A rectenna is not a replacement for rooftop solar, and it certainly isn't a replacement for the electrical grid. The amount of energy available in ordinary radio signals is limited by physics, even under favorable conditions. You're harvesting a relatively small but continuous amount of power. That won't run your refrigerator. It won't power your air conditioner. It won't keep your entire house running during a blackout. So why build one? Because that's the wrong comparison. A rain barrel doesn't replace a city's water system. Yet millions of people still use them because they capture something that would otherwise be wasted. A rectenna does exactly the same thing. It quietly harvests energy 24 hours a day and night, rain or shine, without moving parts, without maintenance, without sunlight, for emergency electronics, battery maintenance, sensors, low-power communication devices, or simply as an educational project that demonstrates one of the most fascinating ideas in electrical engineering. Sometimes understanding how energy moves is just as valuable as the energy itself. And here's the part that stays with me. For decades, millions of television antennas have been standing on rooftops all across the world. Most people see outdated hardware, a leftover from another generation. But every one of those antennas tells the same story. Technology rarely disappears because it stops working. More often, it disappears because we stop looking at it differently. Your old antenna may never replace a power station. It was never meant to. But it reminds us of something we've slowly forgotten. The world around us is full of invisible systems, invisible energy, invisible opportunities. Most of them are simply waiting for someone curious enough to notice them. And sometimes, all it takes to rediscover an old idea is asking a question that everyone else stopped asking years ago.